Hi everybody, welcome to week 4 economics course here. So I got a little bit of different scenery this week. One of my wife's friends went to Arizona for a little trip down our Grand Canyon and some caves down there, and so she took some pictures that look a lot like this. This isn't one of her pictures, but this is what they all look like. So it was pretty amazing to see these colors and all this stuff here. So just thought that was pretty spiffy, something a little different. And the follow-up from last week, I posted a picture. I think there was a test question, I think, where I was getting ready to do my jump out of airplane thing. There was like 4 of us there, and I said I'd do a follow-up pictures on that. A couple of you had asked. So we got, oops, wrong one. Let me get the, well, let me just do this first. Yes, that's what we're here. Inspiration. Um, Give anything less than your best is sacrifice the gift. And I like this quote a lot, and I use my analogies because your opportunity to go to school and do this is a gift. A lot, and sometimes we let other things in our lives, distract us. So, I mean, if you are distracted or need a little encouragement, just remember, this is a gift you have. A lot of people will never have this opportunity. And I've said this before, and I think it's important. And it goes right along with, making sure that you take your dreams seriously. You want to go to school, you want to do whatever the things are, your dreams in the future. You need to take them seriously to get there, and not, treat it like it's something you do on a Sunday night. We don't, we don't take care of our kids on Sunday. We don't drink them everyday coffee on Sunday, and any other things you might do that are a regular thing in your life. Same thing with schoolwork and anything, be it your work or projects you're working on, hobbies, all these things, take them serious. So, all right. And then I mentioned last week, whoops, where's the other one here? And I got these up in the wrong order. But anyway, so this one, last week follow-up. So this is us. This guy right here is me. We have these little oxygen masks, breathing oxygen, because we're doing a very high altitude jump, and so you have to pre-breathe oxygen for like 2.5 hours. So, I mean, like in this case, we sat on the runway there in Guam, sweating for like an hour and a half before we even took off. So there's that, and then here's the actual group photo after the jump. So this wild hair guy here is me. And some of you may have seen this before if you've been in other classes. I might have used this before. But this was, at the time, it was a record. I'm assuming they probably broke it by now, but 37,250 feet. So there's that. So there's the follow-up on the picture from last week for you. All right, and then let's jump into the course room real quick. Again, as those of you in the discussions, real good. Those of you that are not, I send you feedback depending depending on what it is. Same thing with the homeworks. Most of you doing real good in the homeworks. And if there's been any issues, I've been in touch with you, and you know who you are. So, and again, on the homeworks, just as a general rule, I usually don't fail people on homework. If you're doing really bad, I'll let you resubmit it. I'll get back with you and figure out, okay, show you what we're doing wrong, and that way you can resubmit it. So, okay, upcoming week here, we got week 4. All right, so week 4, we got our 2 chapters, I believe, this week. Okay, chapters 9 and 10. Okay, chapter 10 is just the basics, tools of finance. So you got, and, I always preach about terms, definitions, concepts, things like that, like that present value here, or, what is finance? That's a definition right there, so that could be like a question. You got present value, future value, you got different, like say, concepts, terms, and how it all works, and how do you figure it out. So it's pretty much like, the formulas to figure things out. There was also, I mentioned the other classes, some of you may be in both classes, but today we have the advantage of YouTube. Any topic you want to learn something about, like if you're not grasping something in these slides or in the chapters, you could probably get a visual on YouTube that shows you, what it is. So that's one of the advantages we have today. So anyway, so there, this chapter covers this and some of these little formulas to figure out different things like present value. All right, and then the other chapter has to do with unemployment, one of my favorite topics, because sometimes people misunderstand how unemployment works. But so this chapter covers how it's measured, who comes up with statistics, what is it based on, things like that. And then you got different terms: unemployed, not in the labor force. So these are definitions here that you should pay attention to. And then how is it calculated? Different things like that. So the other thing about unemployment that's interesting is and sometimes I just like talking about the politics because not knowing whose views people has, but I try to do it from a neutral perspective. Things like numbers can always be misleading. Be it unemployment or whatever. I know here in this past election, Trump was quoted as saying, unemployment rate's 42%, which of course, that's an outrageous number. President Obama, quoted, the 4.8 or whatever it is. But truth be told, that's also not an accurate number, and that's because of how things are calculated. Because, and I got a couple of articles pulled up here. That shows the actual, like here you got from 1950, okay, this chart here, going all the way up to the, the current, like up to end of December 2016. All right, if you can see these percentages here, this is the percent of the labor force. So when they when calculating, 4% is unemployed of 62% of the labor force. What about that other 40%? See, and that's where you start getting into, things like, well, after somebody, 6 months is up, in some cases they've extended it to a year, but what happens to those people? They're no longer counted. We're not sure. And then here's an article here that talked a little bit about it. Like this guy did a little research thing here to kind of figure it out, because here again he has that percentage of the work that's actually used, not 100%, but like 62% of the workforce that's actually calculated. So you got like a lower unemployment number, but what about the rest of these people? And so that's one of the things they look at. So like this guy here estimated that the different, there might be another 1.5 million people who actually should be included, but they're not. So that would make the difference. Instead of 4.9, it's really 5.8. Small, but still significant. And also don't count people who are not in the labor database. A lot of people don't claim unemployment or anything like that. They just go look for a job. So there's different things on numbers. But anyway, that's just a little little sidebar there for you to to kind of get an idea that not necessarily numbers are not always a positive reflection or a good reflection. You got to look at the whole thing. So because one of the things is, well, yeah, that's low unemployment rate, but that's because a lot of people fell off and they're still unemployed, so they're not being counted anymore. That's one of the one of the other arguments. So, but anyway, either way, I just thought you might be curious about how that percent of the labor force is actually counted there. All right, so what else we got? Okay, and then the homework, same upcoming discussion, same thing, as we've been doing. Homework, same thing. You got your questions for review, and like I said, everybody, the ones I'm seeing doing real good, and if you weren't, I'll let you know about it. So, all right, and with that, I think we'll go ahead and call it quits. And the only other thing, I'm doing a different test question this week. I'll do this one. You can just let me know what this is. Just something a little different. So, all right, that'll do it. Have a great week. If you need anything, get in touch with me, and take care.